culture, adventure, and a little more. Welcome to the magic of the Baja Show.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the Baja Uncovered podcast. I am JT Meadows, your host, and this is seriously a super special day for me because I get to interview one of my favorite people in my life, not just here in Baja, but one of my favorite people in my life, Kristin Magnusson of Lechuza in Valle de Guadalupe. How are you doing, Hermana?
I'm good, thank you.
I'm good. Are you
happy to be here?
Yeah, right? In the top secret studio in the dungeon 60 miles below the center of Rosarito. Wow. Pretty cool, right?
60 miles.
Yeah.
Pretty deep.
Maybe 6 miles. I don't know.
Right.
But so thank you so much for coming in today. I appreciate it. And not only do I love you as a person, as a friend, as a sister, but I also love your wines. So do us a favor. I know you brought a couple with you.
Yes.
Tell us a little about Lechuza.
Can I start opening it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Are you kidding me?
I'm more interesting with wine.
You are. I mean,
this is your cue to grab a glass now.
Okay.
You can hit pause.
Definitely.
Get your wine. Lechuza.
Gotta get your Lechuza, available at all major retailers except for some down south. Or
you can just buy it directly from me. Come to Valle and we'll make it happen.
Absolutely. So Lechuza is arguably, I don't know, I'd say one of the top wineries in Valle de Guadalupe. So where did it all come from?
Well, that's really kind of you. Thank you for being my friend and saying that. Lechuza is a family project that the whole intention was to create a place that we wanted to call home, that, you know, eventually we could retire upon and just enjoy. And slowly but surely it turned into a business, and I moved down 13 years ago and turned it into a business, and now that's where we're at.
So where does let's start with you.
Okay.
Where are you from originally?
I was born in the city of Orange,
okay,
in California. Grew up in Ventura County in Camarillo, and then went to culinary school in Santa Barbara.
Mm-hmm.
Stuck up there for 11 years, and then I've been here since.
What did you do up in Santa Barbara for those 11 years?
I worked a lot in the industry. I helped reopen a wine-based restaurant, the Wine Cask,
mm-hmm.
which was amazing because I got to work with different vintners and a really good group of management to really show me the wine world from the consumer's perspective. And then I also spent a good chunk of time at Baja Resort and Spa. And my last position, I was an events manager.
Okay. And then, so the story of Lechuza, you came down in what year?
The end of 2012, me personally.
Personally.
Yeah, my family came down, my dad and my stepmom came down in the early 2000s.
And tell that story of how, when they came down here and what got them to motivate to be in Baja, to be in Valle de Guadalupe.
Sure. Can we cheers first?
Oh, yeah. What are we drinking here, by the way?
Sauvignon Blanc. This is called Canto, or to sing. Lechuza is an owl. And this line is our minimal intervention line. I really like it, and I figured it's a great way to start.
Does it have hints and notes of yumminess?
Some would say, wow, very descriptive.
Yeah, that comes from my wine training. Yeah.
You have a little more work.
Well, cheers to you. Thank you so much. All right,
Happy
cheers.
2026.
Yeah, and it's not 10 a.m. in the morning right now, just for the record. I want you guys to know that.
It's okay to have white wine at 10.
Mm. It does have hints and notes of yumminess.
There we go.
Wow. Oh, that's delicious.
Okay, so back to the Lechuza story. I grew up, being from California, all of us is in our blood to travel Baja, right? And so Baja was always an extension of our family. All of our vacations, all of our road trips always were south of the border. My stepmom is from Colombia, so she's Latina as well. And so sometimes coming from the United States and being able to, 90 minutes transport yourself to a whole nother country, a whole nother areas is a godsend. And they went on a bike race, ended up going to dinner.
Were they on the Rosarito to Ensenada 50-mile bike ride?
Yeah, if you live here, you understand it's like a traffic nightmare.
Yeah.
but it gets people out and going. And at that time, there was not much going on in Valle, and somebody had recommended that they go to a restaurant called Laja. And at the time, it was a complete trailblazing restaurant. They brought fine dining into this really rustic area, had the best meal of their life. And the next day, when they drove back to San Diego, they went up through Tecate, so on Highway 3, and saw that the lots directly next door were for sale. And they thought, wow, this is a place that I could retire. And asked the neighbor about those lots, and the neighbor said, oh, los lotes de lechuzas, the lots with the owls. And
there were owls on the property?
Yeah.
Like the Lechuza owls were on the property? Or
Yeah, they were more referring to the burrowing ground owls. So we had it was just an overgrown wheat field with a small family of these burrowing ground owls. And so we paid homage for the first family of the ranch, the Lechuzas.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. So once your parents came down here, what year was that? That was
2001, 2002. As you know, nothing in Mexico is overnight. So the
mañana.
Ahorita. It's not now. And so they purchased the property. The idea was just to construct some casitas. And they were constructing one. And during that process, the neighbor had convinced my dad that the land was way too rich not to plant grapes on.
There was nothing. It was just the wheat field. There was nothing planted on it at all. Wow.
And he said, we're pruning my dad's vineyard right next door. When we do that, we can take the cuttings, do root compound, and we can plant you a small vineyard just for your personal consumption. And at that point, my parents had offered for me to go to UC Davis to become the family winemaker. I was very close-minded and cocky and independent, as most young 20-year-olds are.
What was your goal at that time? Like prior, you're like, no, I'm not going to be a winemaker. I want to
get drunk. Horrible.
No.
I don't know. I was very small-minded. I was managing a bar on State Street in Santa Barbara. So
party time.
Party time.
Yeah.
I thought I was super independent. I always wanted to be in the hospitality world. I just didn't know how that looked. I thought it was through the kitchen, and then I realized how hard it really was. And it's a thankless job with long hours. You forfeit every holiday. You're always on your feet, and you just don't have that gratification that I was seeking. And so that's when I went to the front of the house, and then I realized I like parties. And so hosting events was like the next step. But yeah, I mean, what 20-year-old really knows what they're wanting to do?
I mean, I'm upper 40s, not to go the full age, but I still.
You could just go ish.
I don't know what I want to do when I grow up still, so that's understandable.
Yeah. So my dad said, okay, if you're not going to do it, then I'm going to do it. So at 45, he went to UC Davis and did the Winemakers Abroad program, and he planted the vines in 2005.
Wow.
Our first vintage was 2007.
So like for people that don't understand the process of making wine, it's not like the grapes don't just show up, you crush them, boom, you got wine. I mean, so it took 2 years after the first planting until you harvested the first grapes to be ready to rock?
To be honest, the first grapes were harvested from our next door neighbors where the original plants were. Because traditionally for grapevines, in order to get fruit that yields that has characteristics that you're looking for, usually takes 3 to 5 years before you get your first batch of grapes that are estate grown. So our first estate vintage was 2008. 2008.
And now, I mean, on the property, you have like your estate wines, and was that like 4 hectares or something like that? Or how big is it?
2 hectares.
2 hectares.
Yeah, we grow 4 varietals: Cabernet, Merlot, Tempranillo, and Nebbiolo. Sorry.
And
Right, more wine.
You don't need to know your product. It's
details.
It's fine.
They're red.
Yeah, with hints and notes of yumminess.
Yumminess.
So when you first, or what really set you over to be like, okay, I want to do this, and I want to go into the winemaking. Obviously, getting your education taken care of is probably a nice little push, but what got you to be like, okay, I'm gonna give this a run?
Well, I never went to wine school. So my education was definitely not in that spectrum. But my dad had gently asked me several times. And then it was in 2012 where he invited me down, and we went, and that was the first year where Finca Artesano of Javier Plasencia was just a pop-up. It was a trailer with an awning. Yeah. The staff had like an outdoor shower and tents.
Did they have like the goat farm there or something too that was going on? It was like...
They have all of
everything. Yeah.
And I mean, every year I love watching it grow. But we were there, we had a beautiful lunch. We had a lot of wine, and then we went home and went to dinner at Deckman's and had a beautiful dinner, lots of mezcal, and sitting under a tree watching the sunset. My dad's like, so what do you think about here? And I was like, wow, this place is amazing. And he said, I was thinking, since the region's growing, why don't you come down? And with some time, I was able to mature a little bit, and I realized I know nothing, and I really could use the support of my parents in regards to helping me figure out where my career is going. So I quit my job, moved down 2 months later, and my first week was pruning in the fields.
What was that like? That was you're like, ooh, wine's amazing. I really love wine, and now I'm plucking shit off of vines.
Wow, this is cool. No, the expectation was like I was just gonna float in with like my knowledge and my experience, and it was just gonna be a cakewalk. It's not. No, opening a business in Mexico is not. But it was funny because a couple days in, a neighbor's passing by, and I see her taking a picture. And I said to my parents, I was like, I don't know what's going on. I mean, did I offend them? Why are they taking pictures? And my parents asked her, and she came back laughing, and she says, it's not oftentimes you see a white woman from Santa Barbara coming down to work illegally in the fields. And truth be said...
Hey, mom, es un gringa.
Yeah, I mean, I know I stand out. I'm 6 foot tall, blonde hair. I don't look like what people expect somebody to look like.
Especially then. I mean, this is when Valle de Guadalupe, is developing-ish, but there weren't a lot of people from the United States or other areas that were coming down to make wine.
No, I mean, Valle is like a patchwork quilt. It's a collection of different cultures, different educational backgrounds. A lot of countries are represented in Valle. Of course, from United States is a very small portion. But what I loved about the formative years is everything was so ran by the families. And that's something that we pride ourselves about. The first 5 years, we didn't have any employees. We had Don Miguel who helped us with general maintenance. And he was an amazing man that helped us for many years. But other than that, I mean, from field to glass, it was just family.
Yeah. So was your dad, was your stepmom involved too, helping, or?
My stepmom was a really great support system when we needed assistance in the tasting room. But she very much, for our family, is the quiet warrior behind closed doors. She's the one that makes sure that we're fed. She's the one that makes sure that things get done. Where my husband...
Your husband.
Yeah. Adam and I were the day-to-day, and then my dad came down on weekends to help us, but he also was my daily check-in multiple times a day to make sure to keep me on track.
Yeah. And so this at the time when you first came down, your dad's involved in the business, but it wasn't really open to the public yet, right?
We opened on weekends 3 months into me moving down.
Okay.
But at that time, tourism was not what it is now. We used to put balloons out on the street with a sign, and my dad and I would wave to people passing by, like trying to get people in.
Here's some gringos stranded on the side of the road with
right?
balloons.
Do they need help? No, the funny thing is the neighbor's like, oh, look at the gringos are having a garage sale again. No, horrible. But we would always, something that we believe in our philosophy as a family is like, good meals, sitting around the table, that hospitable experience is really a portal. It really opens up connections. It gives us an opportunity to tell our story. So my dad would just always overcook with the hopes that people would come in, join us at our table, and we would give them an opportunity to kind of see what our project was about. And at that time, we were still fermenting on site. So it was a very, very good opportunity for people to see how a small family-run vineyard looked like.
What was the toughest part in the beginning stages of opening a winery as people from the United States in Valle de Guadalupe?
Personally or professionally?
Yes.
Okay. Personally, I think in the United States, we are always so very accustomed to convenience. And so you have a craving, you go to the store and you can get it. And I was talking to a farmer the other day, and I specifically was talking like artichokes, right? You could want an artichoke and go any time of year to a grocery store and buy one. Here, you know, there's like a 6-week window. So when you get it, you value it.
When
right?
it's fresh, it's here, and when it's not, it's not.
We live very seasonally.
Mm-hmm.
So I think one of the biggest adjustments was nothing was convenient. I wanted to get a cell phone. We had to give personal references. I was like, I'll just pay it a whole year in advance, like me and my privilege, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'll just do that. Like, let's just circumvent all of this stuff. And it's like, no. We have to come out and see that you actually live at the address for a cell phone, right? As well, getting internet. I didn't get Wi-Fi until 2017. Wow. I mean, like, that puts things in perspective.
Yeah.
I was coming from this beautiful resort job with this IT department that if I jam my printer, there are people that can come and help, you know? So there was a lot of adjustments of having to figure things out. As well, when something breaks here in Mexico, you don't just, like, toss it and go to the store and buy a new one. You don't have that ease, that luxury. So really trying to figure out at 10 p.m., the press goes out, how am I going to save this crop? Because I can't go back to the vines and say, oh yeah, I screwed it up.
Pop me out some more grapes, please.
Can I get a couple more tons? You know, like, the yeast didn't rise, you know? It just doesn't work that way. But that's where we had to really lean into community. And I think what is really sweet, my father, as a son of a Baptist minister, always had like a very service heart. And one of the best things he did for me was enter into a community, not trying to gentrify it, not trying to put his knowledge, but to sit back, observe, participate, and work with the community. And because of that, our first few vintages, we hired the bomberos, or the volunteer firefighters, to help us with harvest.
Really?
Yeah.
That's super cool.
When a fire broke out across the street and I am freaking out with a pizza, what do you call it? Pizza paddle.
Pizza paddle, yeah.
To try to like get dirt on this fire because I'm like, I can't have my place burned down. Juan came and put his hand on my shoulder and he says, it's okay, we've got this.
And the volunteer firefighters are like,
they're like,
we got you.
We got you. And I think that was a big eye-opening moment for me, was to understand where in the United States we kind of live very much on an island. You don't really talk to your neighbors. I mean, sometimes you don't even talk to your family. But here, people are just so genuinely kind. I remember going out to a restaurant maybe the second month that I lived here, and maybe 3 or 4 people passed my table and they're like, "Hola, buenas tardes, provecho." And I'm just like, holy smokes.
You didn't speak any Spanish at this time, or you did? You're starting.
I
You knew the bad words like
California Spanglish.
Yeah.
Some would argue I still speak California Spanglish.
Your Spanish is, I mean, if you guys, you don't know yet, but I'm going to put her to a test here.
No.
And do a whole.
Can I have my Google Translate with me?
I mean, it is kind of trippy, like, to watch you and now your kids just like rattle off Spanish. And I mean, I've known you for, I don't know, 11 years or 12 years, 13 years. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You look just the same, by the way.
Thanks. I was like 13 then.
You were right.
You know?
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay.
Your husband was
all right.
then.
That's funny.
Okay.
Okay.
That was good. Okay. Cheers to your funniness.
Thank you. I think this is the first time you've ever said I'm funny.
Well, it's more for the show.
Thank you.
Yeah. You're
okay.
welcome. You're welcome.
You can lie to me the rest of the day.
So this is, starting off with your first couple vintages or years. You're just working mostly off of what you guys had or the neighbor's farm, and then, but now, not to flash forward too far, I mean, now when I was with you this last year, I mean, you're bringing in, 15 tons, 17, 20 tons just for the season or more?
I think, so this year we really scaled back. We've really noticed kind of a slowdown, not only in consumption, but also visitors. And so we have to adjust accordingly. My largest production was 4 years ago. 4 years ago? Yeah. I did 62 tons.
Wow.
This year I did about 29 tons. It depends on the grape availability. I only source for the last couple years from a small vineyard in Valle, Rancho Refugio, which is, for people who know, Valle right next door to Valle de Guadalupe. Mm-hmm. Ronnie is the owner. He has 3 guys that work.
Super nice guy.
So good.
Such a kind dude.
Yeah. Because when we were growing so big and we were working with multiple farmers, I think that there is a part of that detaches, in a sense, where at the end of the day, we are farmers first and then winemakers. And so post-COVID, once, we got to kind of connect with our community much more, I wanted to make sure that I aligned myself with farms that have reciprocal practices. They do as organic as possible. They drop maybe 50% of their production, which means on the plant they cut fruit. Mm-hmm. And the reason you do that is so rather than just harvesting a batch to get the median, you drop the underripe, you drop the overripe, and what is left is the best ingredient.
What do you mean drop?
Cut.
So you cut it, but you're still using it though?
No.
You're just literally taking 2/3 of the best of the grapes on the whole vine, cut it, and it just goes to pasture.
Yeah, it usually just lays there.
Really?
Yeah. And you drop fruit multiple times if you're cognizant of the farming practice. You do it a couple times a year or a couple times a season to make sure that when it is time to harvest the grapes, you're only getting the best. Because you also have to understand the plant is providing energy to grow these grapes. And if you're asking it to provide energy to grow something that you're not going to use or is going to skew the numbers, let's just go ahead and focus that energy on what is important.
So by cutting those, say, lower hanging fruits, mm-hmm. It basically takes the energy that was being used on those grapes and redirects them to the ones that are going to, long and short, make you money.
The ones that are going to be the highest quality.
Okay.
Because the saying is great wine is made in the field. If you provide me with an ingredient that has issues, that has mold, fungus, overripe, underripe, then now when it comes to cooking the caldo or doing the first fermentation, I'm going to have to manipulate it in order to have a successful fermentation. And what we try to do at Lechuza is try not to manipulate it as much as possible. We try as little intervention, working on temperature. We use all vegan, organic regions when we do our fermentations. We work a lot with temperature control. My idea is you could make a soup in 20 minutes, or you can make a caldito in 6 hours. With that, you have more aromas, textures, a lot more depth and complexity that is longer lasting.
So there's a lot more. I mean, I've been lucky to work with you on helping, and I mean, I pretty much carried all the weight this last season.
You got stung by a bee.
Oh, that fucker stung me good too. Yeah. We're like going through we're doing the MOG process, right? Mm-hmm. Material other than grapes, right?
God.
Thank you.
Look at
Thank you. Thank you very much. So that's a process where all the grapes are coming in, and I mean, I must have carried like at least 7,000 crates that day.
Totally.
At least.
Yeah.
And so you put all the grapes into the destemmer, right? The destemmer.
Yes.
And then as you're going through, you're picking out all the shit that doesn't belong in there.
Yeah.
The leaves, the moldy looking grapes, or things that shouldn't go in. Mm-hmm. But there were bees in there. I think we both got stung that day.
Yeah.
And I didn't know. I hadn't been stung since I was like, I don't know, 12 or 13. I'm like, oh shit, am I allergic or what's going on?
I mean, bees for me are great, right? They're cross-pollinator. We need them. However, we just like took them from their home, brought them on a trailer down a dirt road.
Free vacation.
Yeah. And then we're just slapping them around in a machine, right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I understand why they can get frustrated.
Right.
Highly do not recommend anyone with a bee allergy to work around harvest.
I'm wearing gloves next year for sure.
No.
It hurt. It hurt.
Stop crying.
I just look tough.
You're fine.
I am fine.
This year I also got stung by a scorpion too.
What the? Really?
Like a baby scorpion, yeah.
Like it was in the grapes?
It was in a barrel that I was moving, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
What was that? I mean, were you worried you were going to die or something? Or?
Kind of. I mean, I sucked it out of my thumb right away. But Nacho, my cellar master, he said to me, he's like, you're probably more toxic than the scorpion, so you're fine.
You're fine.
Truth of the matter is I was fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
So with this process of the MOG, right, or the destemming.
Yeah.
That's kind of, first stage, obviously, handling months and months of harvest and growing the grapes and getting everything ready. And then there's a pretty big science to just even the time of picking, though, right?
Absolutely. I mean, you have to... Making wine is a beautiful balance between art and science. You can't forget one and only rely on the other, because if so, you're missing the mark completely. When it's time getting closer to harvest, we go out in the fields and you have to eat the grapes. You have to see what the acidity is like, what the aromas are like. You have to see the texture of the skin, the color extraction. Chew on the seed. Is it an uncured olive or a perfectly popped popcorn kernel? Because you're fermenting on those seeds. And so everything you do is impacting on it. And like I said earlier, once you cut it off the plant, there's like no going back.
Yeah, point of no return.
You can't glue it back on and say, I screwed up. Give me another 5 days. But that's also something that's super cool about our project is the largest fermentation we do now is only 3 tons, because that's my hauling capacity in my truck. And so it's like when you have a huge field of tomatoes, obviously not everything's going to ripen at the same time, but if you can do batch by batch and capture it at the perfect moment, You can also do portions of underripe to get greener tannins, lower alcohol, higher acidity, or you can go on the more ripe side that gives you more ripe fruit qualities, more
sugars and stuff
yeah,
like that.
higher alcohol as well. The tannins tend to be a lot more grippy on that, and then at that point you ferment them separately, and then the hopes is that you can have a balanced end fruit by manipulating it with the juice itself.
So how, I mean, obviously every year is different, right?
Yeah.
And then like this last year, I remember right towards the end, or we're getting ready to harvest everything, there were some major rains and stuff that kind of came through. And I remember a lot of people were kind of freaking out, like, oh, this is going to screw us.
Yeah.
But why is rain good or bad for grapes?
Well, so every single year the plant goes through a full cycle. Right now we're entering hibernation. Unfortunately, the earlier parts of December was quite warm and quite dry, and so the plants never really went to sleep. And so we're seeing a lot of new growth, which is new green leaves coming up because the plants are waking up without having that deep sleep. If you don't have a proper hibernation, it's like running a marathon, taking a nap, running a marathon, taking a nap. You're not going to get the fullest potential of the yield, right? So this growth part of the season is hibernation. But then we have bud break. We have viñedos en flor, which is where they have little baby clusters with little flowers on them. Back to tomatoes, you know how we have those little flowers that turn into tomatoes. And then we have fruit set, Verizon, when it changed from green to purple. So all of these different elements, as farmers, yes, we require water, but at certain parts of the growth season, it can be potentially dangerous. It can shatter the skin. If the grapes are very swollen and the rain is very hard, it could break.
That's when you see it. It almost looks like a cut that's in it.
Yeah,
and
split. Yeah. If you have heavy winds during flowering, you can have what we call a shatter as well, where you have a cluster that's formed almost like Swiss cheese, rather than a nice tight cluster. It's very separated. And then later, when your red grapes change from green to purple, that's expressive that it has a higher sugar content. So think about when you go to the grocery store and you buy strawberries, perfectly ripe strawberries. If you wash them, no matter what you do, if you put them on your counter or your fridge, it's already going to start that molding process, because moisture with sugar creates this environment where mold happens. So if the grapes on the plant have a higher sugar content and you get that moisture either on the exterior or even deep down inside by the stems, you start to get rot and mold.
And so if the rot gets into your system of production, that could screw you, right? I mean, that could mess up your whole production.
Yeah. Well, yes. That's why we do a lot of the sorting to begin with, because there's going to be a natural amount of spoilage on the plant. Working with a grape farmer will alleviate majority of that issue. But yes, during fermentation, it can definitely make the fermentation more challenging.
So now you've been, well, let's go back just a little bit.
Okay.
So there was a point for Lechuza where it really went from just kind of doing this business to taking it to the next level. And tell me about that story and why.
Making wine is an addiction. If you don't have the heart behind it, it does not work, because it's really long days, it's weekends, it's holidays, it's missed birthdays, it can also sacrifice a lot of relationships, to be honest. But as I started my process and my journey in Valle, I was a very confused young woman. And I quickly was supported by the community and by my family, and we started getting some pretty cool recognition. And as the community grew and they continued to include me as one of their own, then I had this responsibility of, I don't want to let them down. And so I wanted to do better. But I also wanted to do more. I understand that this window of opportunity can be short-lived. And so I want to take the opportunity. If I'm already doing the work, then I want to do it the best that I can. If I'm already showing up, I want to do it. And so I continue to take on more projects, and I don't know where I'll be in 5 years. I guess it depends on where I am personally, because when you make wine, it's like when you cook, you have to put your whole heart in it, and you have to believe in what you do. If not, I mean, sometimes, have you ever gotten a meal and you're like, wow, chef must have been angry. This isn't that good.
Sometimes it is because they're angry at me. Yes, well, actually.
Yeah. So it's the same with wine, and as well, I feel that there's a lot more opportunities that I get in Baja California than other women get in other regions. Mm-hmm. And I don't like to think that it's solely my journey. I feel that there's a lot of female influence in Valle de Guadalupe, and I know that it's a microcosm. I know that right now, as an emerging wine region, there's so much room for growth, where in a lot more established wine regions, there's glass ceilings. But it's beautiful to have that understanding that you get to make your own glass ceiling.
So I want to get to what my question really was.
Okay.
At some point, you want to pour a little.
Yes.
We may need to hop into the red here pretty soon too.
Okay.
So there was a point where you are gaining recognition. Lechuza is gaining recognition, and an insanely important person in your life who had taught you so much. Mm-hmm. Something happened. Yeah.
So I had the distinct privilege of not going to school in the traditional way, but being able to have the most bullheaded, direct, stubborn person be my professor, but also do it with an abundance of love. And that was my dad. And we can all relate. Our parents can be the hardest life lesson people. But then to have him also shepherd me through going internationally to open a business, to do a career shift in my 30s while trying to start a family, that was a huge leap of faith. But he was a really, really big person to my everyday life. And unfortunately, we lost him unexpectedly in 2017. I think it was something so profound because none of us were ready. And I can't just say this on my own. I think the community too was just not ready to lose somebody who was so full of life, that had so much eagerness to share the beauty of Baja, to want to learn more, to just live, right? And then when we lost him in a moment, it turned my world upside down. I didn't know what to do.
I mean, are you thinking when this happens so unexpectedly, was there ever a thought of like, that's it? Like, I can't do this without him? Or where's your mindset at that point?
Obviously, I think anytime that you lose a parent, I think that there is that moment of, wow, my biggest fan is no longer there to cheer me on. Am I capable of doing this without having my phone a friend? Am I capable of being successful and not have a checks and balance? Not have somebody that continuously charges you to want to learn more. Do I have that within me? And I had to go back to work a week after he had passed. And that was something that was super vulnerable, because some people who haven't lost important people in their life really don't know how to grieve appropriately. And some of the questions were just highly insensitive. And being in a public position, hosting wine tastings and having some of these questions, for sure, there was like a bunch of meltdowns. And it was very much, I don't know if I'm capable of doing this. And that vintage, 2017, I was making wine, and then all of my fermentations got contaminated. I
Really?
was only able to pull out one white wine. Other than that, 16 tons, all spoiled. All of it. You won't see a 2017 vintage.
Really? If you live in Baja or travel south of the border, you already know having Mexican insurance is the law. That's why I personally trust Ride Baja Mexican Insurance for all of my insurance needs. From homes, cars, motorcycles, motorhomes, UTVs, and boats, they make protecting my assets easy. Visit www.ridebaja.com and get a policy in minutes. Or better yet, give them a call and experience the Ride Baja difference. One of the reasons I love Ride Baja is because they're the only insurance broker open nights and weekends to truly support you. They're available 24/7 for claims, towing, roadside assistance, and real help when you need it. Get the Ride Baja Mexican Insurance today and get covered right.
And I was fermenting in Don Camilo's facility in a little corner, and I crossed him a tasting of a wine, and he said, "Please help me. Tell me what I can do." And at that point, he had to tell me it was a do not resuscitate moment.
Wow.
And I was just like, wait, what? And he says,
It's like a double whammy.
right?
Yeah.
He's like, "Mija, it's only grapes." And I'm like, this is 1/8 of my existence, where for you can say it's only grapes. You've done this for 50 years. Like, you have the resilience, you have the know-how that you can bounce back. But this proportionally is a much bigger moment. And he said, "Yes, but you can do it." And so fiscally, that was a hard hit as well. Professionally and personally, it was like, maybe I'm not cut out for that.
Yeah, you're thinking like, what did I do, or why am I getting hit like this?
Why am I
Like,
doing this?
Yeah, is it worth it? Do you keep going?
I'm out here on an island doing something where I feel like a fraud, right?
Wait, explain that. What do you mean you feel like a fraud?
I only get one chance a year to do this, right? So I'm a winemaker, yes, technically. Am I a trained winemaker? No.
Well, you got literally the training of hard knocks and
Right,
being
but
in the field.
I don't have the certificates to tell the world that I fit into this box, right?
I know a lot of chefs with papers,
Yeah.
and papers don't mean shit for a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's kind of like having a college education with $60,000, $80,000 in debt, but you can't get a $29,000 a year job.
Right. I know. But there's also the insecurities that come with that.
Of course.
You know? Yeah, it was tough. Everything was dead. My dad was dead. My grapes were dead. My business is dying. I should not do this. And then it took a luncheon with my neighbor, Tremiller, from Adobe Guadalupe. She gracefully invited me over to lunch. And she herself has experienced profound loss. And so she came to me from a very empathetic space. And there was a point to where she says, "Okay, it's time to pull up your boots. You're not doing your father's memory, his legacy, any good by wallowing. We all make mistakes, but it's not the mistakes we make, it's how we get back up." And she says, "We're all here to support you. And if this is something you want to do, then you can do it with our support, but you have to want to do it." And at that point, I thought, okay, well, let's give it another go. And 2018 was a really
Amazing.
nice vintage. Yeah.
So with that, so you've now taken over the reins more or less. You're now the true face of Lechuza. And I mean, I don't think there's any denying that you're definitely one of the most highly regarded winemakers.
That's just you're my friend.
Well, you can give me $20 in the parking lot
Cool.
after we finish the recording.
Super.
But you really are, and I think, you know, one thing and something that you've carried on from your father is you really embrace everything that is about Valle de Guadalupe and is about Mexico. And there are a lot of people that come into Valle de Guadalupe or any areas, you know, throughout Mexico, coming from the United States or Canada or wherever. And hey, I got a lot of money and I'm going to be a winemaker, or I'm going to open a hotel and a resort in Valle de Guadalupe. And there's now, you know, hundreds and hundreds of these establishments now. You see a lot of them flail, or you see a lot of beautiful places without a lot of people in them. You've built something based on your father's name and your name, and you've built a reputation that really is something to be insanely proud of.
Thank you.
And I think, I mean, to flash forward a couple years, this is where I really feel that you separated yourself from a lot of people that are just coming down with money or, you know, an idea to do something and build something, because let's flash forward to COVID. Tell me your story of how COVID affected you, but how you pushed through and really excelled even further above a lot of the other places down there.
You know, COVID was something that really shook us to the core, because being in the frontera or in a border town.
Sorry, let me just slip this into you real quick. 'Cause
We always had a unique opportunity to not just be dependent on one economy. If the Mexican economy was dipping, then we always had the American economy, right? We're just 90 miles. But when COVID happened, that happened on both ends of the border, and that was really tough. What people don't understand is in United States, you know, you have 2.2 people living in every household, on average. And my statistics are,
I'm going
are
to
great.
fact check that one. But.
No. Anyways, but in Valle, in Mexico, a lot of us have multi-generational households. And so if one person got sick, we're not just talking about a very small satellite sickness. We're talking about impacting whole families. And so Mexico during COVID went on high alert. And there was a good month and a half that you were not permitted to enter into the boundaries of Valle de Guadalupe without proof of residency. So there was,
and you had to be a resident of Valle de Guadalupe, or if you had Mexican residency, you could go in. Or
no, it was Ensenada, Valle de Guadalupe, that surrounding. It was military checkpoints. They stopped and checked, and that was, you know, we didn't have the hospital infrastructure, we didn't have the testing supplies, we didn't have the medications. So if somebody got sick, that meant that had a lot graver consequences. But as a community, rather than just laying down and accepting this as our fate, we decided to come together as a community and create legislation and say to the government, hey, we want to open, but we can't yo-yo like the United States. We can't open, close, open, close.
So
horrible. Yeah. But down here, since we don't have unemployment and we don't have small business bailouts, we basically have to look into the faces of people who show up to us every day and say, good luck. I don't know when we're coming back. I don't have anything to give you, but good luck. And that's just not a part of who we are at Lechuza. So
and if a lot of people don't understand, in the United States, we had the Payroll Protection Program, PPP money, right? Where businesses, I mean, our restaurants got, $1 million or more in free money. And I think down here it was literally like, there was like a CFE credit of like $500 or something like that you could
Never
use.
got that.
You never got that one?
No.
Yeah, well, you're a gringo, so maybe. But that was, I mean, all this help just to keep businesses open. And down here, there was nothing.
There was nothing. No, we set up community stands. We actually fed the military checkpoints. We took shifts in providing them with meals. We had dry goods available in front of the grocery store. We had local farmers that weren't able to sell their produce that were doing intercambios. I found a dairy farmer that would trade wine for dairy boxes. I found a vegetable farmer that would trade wine for vegetable boxes. And it wasn't just for my consumption. We went from 6 days a week to 4 days a week for all of our staff. But we kept all of our staff on.
So that's what's really cool. I mean, that's a piece that I feel like is different than most in Valle, too.
Yeah.
A lot of people laid everyone off. Yeah. Hey, we're closed. We don't know when we're going to reopen. But you shifted and did something really cool with your staff.
Here's the thing. People had to do that out of necessity, and I totally understand. But I live very conservatively. And so if I could scale back in a lot of ways in order to make sure that the people that show up for me know that when times gets rough, that I show up for them, then I'm going to do that. And, oh man, during COVID, I would give them assignments, like different videos or movies of wine-based concepts, and watch the movie and give a report. We took shifts working in the field because we had just had a plague go through and there was a lot of work to do. We redesigned the tasting room. We cleaned and organized the cave. And if anybody had to venture out of our COVID circle, then they had field duty for 2 weeks. But I also knew that people needed to go out sometimes,
but
right?
you were teaching the tasting room worker about grapes, not just how to talk about these tasting notes.
Right.
You were teaching the guy out in the field to know about the wine, not just picking the grapes, but knowing the tasting notes and
Right.
cross-utilizing employees in different positions.
Yeah, I think it's important to speak from a place of integrity. And if you haven't gotten your hands dirty and you don't have the grape stain clothes at the end of the day, then maybe you're just reciting a script.
You're just there for the job.
Right. And that just doesn't work for me. And so my team got to learn it all. And we did shoulder the entire time working together in our bubble. When we reopened, because tests were not available, I brought in a nurse every Thursday for my team and their immediate family and their household to get tested. As soon as they were negative, they were able to report to duty. There was only one time in which we got positive results, and that was during Omicron, and we just closed the entire tasting room
Like
for 2 weeks.
The third varietal of
Yeah.
COVID.
But when we reopened, it was very, very hazmatish. We had cubrebocas, we had plastic shields, we had gloves, we had aprons, disposable aprons, oxygen checks twice a day, temperature checks twice a day, foot baths for our shoes. We did all of the things because we needed to reopen. We needed to give a consistency, but also for our mind's sake. And what was really cool is post the reopening of everything, a lot of people, especially the Pacific coast, all the way up to Washington, had the ability to get in their car and drive down, have an international trip without getting on an airplane, and feel safe and comfortable because we created these protocols to protect not only them, but also our community. And I think that's what's beautiful about Valle, is that we're not just tourism driven. We're also farm driven. We're also community driven. And you said earlier a lot about, people coming in with money. I don't have money. They say the best way to make a small fortune in wine is to start with a big fortune. But there is a sense of Darwinism that if you don't have the right intentions, you will weed yourself out. Because we don't have the resources. And if you don't play nice on the playground, guess what? No one's going to play with you.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm just really blessed that everyone is what I can consider a friend and a confidant and accessible, approachable, supportive. Yeah. And I mean, we get to live the high life. We get to drink wine, eat. We have the highest concentration of Michelin stars, right? And beyond that, the taco stands, the carnitas, delicious.
Yeah.
The local bakery, Aviello, it's amazing.
How do you feel? I mean, speaking of, what are there now, like 20 plus Michelin stars or something like that
I
in
really
Valle?
don't. I really don't know.
It's some are nods and, everything. And,
Yeah.
and you had a chef in your facility for a while.
Yeah,
Damiana.
I
right?
got the privilege of working with Esteban.
Mm-hmm.
He was at our place for maybe a year and a half. And super, super proud of him and what he's been able to accomplish.
Puts on a pretty amazing spread. I remember one day, I met him when he had the place next to Frida. And
Right.
that was cool. He was actually, I think, one of my first Boredom Report videos. And
The what?
Boredom Report video. Have you heard of the Boredom Report? I mean, you should check it out. It's pretty huge. It's huge.
It's kind of a big deal.
It's kind of huge. But he was one of my first ones, and I remember when he was moving into your place. I sat there one day and I was like, "Hey, Esteban, what's going to be on the menu today?" And he's like, "I don't know. I'm waiting for my delivery." And I was like, "What? What are you talking?" He's like, "Yeah, I don't really. I got to see what the seafood guy brings or whatever." And then the seafood guy shows up with the whole delivery. And then he busts out his marker onto the refrigerator, and they just start writing stuff out with his team. And that's how they figured out how they're going to do this, 8-course, 9-course pairing dinner or meal. And I was just like, holy shit, like this is really, and I liked the guy already. When I saw that, I'm like, this is so cool and crazy. And then he had moved into a new location. And I'm not sure the winery that he's at now.
Viñedos de la Reina.
Say that again.
Viñedos. Okay.
Okay, it was good.
De la Reina.
Okay, yeah, that one.
Yeah.
And then
it's just past Domecq or on the left-hand side. It's as you're leaving Valle de Guadalupe, so if you're taking Highway 3 to Tecate, it's one of the last on the left-hand side.
And so at his new spot, he picked up
What new spot?
Damiana next to blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
He got a Michelin star, right? That's pretty cool. Pretty cool. And so I'd say, maybe you could take credit for that because you helped him grow.
I cannot take credit for someone else's success. Come on, no.
I mean, you could take some for mine. You've helped me a lot and introduced me to some amazing people, but then again, I don't have any success. So.
Well, come on. No, you know what? I think in Valle, when you have the freedom to be able to take risks, you take bigger risks because your neighbors aren't sharks in the water waiting for you to fail. Because when you fail, they'll be like, oh, I've done that before. That sucks.
Yeah.
Or, no worries. How can we best support you? And I think that it's really great and grateful to have the opportunity to continuously cross paths. Esteban and I just did an event together in Punta Mita, and it was really, it's really lovely.
Oh, that was the one in Nayarit.
Yes,
down Puerto Vallarta,
exactly.
Nayarit. Yeah, it was cool. Chef's table thing, right?
Yeah.
Cool. I was gonna make it there because I was in Puerto Vallarta, Nayarit at the same time, but I didn't. Well, I was trying to be duty, and get my free ticket, and it didn't work, so I spent it on conchas instead. Yeah. So what do we have in front of us here as we get ready to talk about the community?
Finish your glass in the middle.
I did. Well, there's
no.
I can't just throw it out on the ground like I do at the wineries. So this here is, I'll say, arguably my favorite wine in the world. So what?
Really?
Oh, come on! Don't play dumb. I love this wine.
Wow,
But
the world is like, that's like
Yeah,
something.
but I don't know that much about wine. So
Okay.
to be
Sweet.
fair,
Wow.
to be fair. So tell us about the Amantes.
Amantes is a red blend. The blend changes every year. It just kind of depends on what we have from that vintage, right? So as farmers, we're always dealing with so many changes of yield variance and what grapes we have access to. So the concept behind it is something that's fruit forward and approachable for maybe folks that are starting to get into wine or just want something without having to pick it apart. But it also has structure and backbone and character. This vintage is 2021. It is very brand new in bottle. So every day it's getting better because we went through a filtration process.
So wines change flavor in the bottle still? I mean, I ask like I don't know. It's kind of like a lead in to
Really?
hey, talk about this.
Wow.
I knew that, but I'm playing dumb, Chris. Like,
All right,
come on.
really playing. Cool. Yes, wines evolve. Wine is alive from conception to consumption. So the day we introduce yeast into the must or the grape juice is its birthday until you consume it. So wines go through a process of creating different aromas, mouthfeel, texture, the finish, and it creates this profile almost like a DNA chain, right? And you have hard links of acid, tannins, but then you also have finer links of where it rounds out in the mouthfeel. Different, you can smell dirt or you can smell limestone, right? The
wine wheel, right?
Yeah,
the
wine
wheel of flavors.
Right, we could go from the outside and we can work our way in. And so as you learn about wine, you get more layers and textures. But yes, it does evolve every single day, depending on storage, depending on the wine itself. But when you filter it to 0.45 of a micron, super geeky, it takes that DNA chain and it rips it apart. And so it takes time for the friends on the playground to come back together. I like to say it's almost like the last day of school when you see kids and they've like spent this entire year together, like super amigos, and then they have summer break, and then you see them like the first day of school, first couple of days of school. It's kind of weird, awkward. You don't know where you like set up, but then like a month into it, all of a sudden they're back to where they were when they left last year. So it takes different wines, different stages to get to where it needs to be, and you just kind of have to taste it to follow it.
Well, let's taste it first.
Yes, so this is Amantes.
Amantes. Salud.
This vintage 2021 is 38 Nebbiolo, 36 Cab, and 26 Merlot.
Don't worry, I'm not going to change the camera angles to show that you were looking at the back of the bottle. Didn't figure
Okay,
out
so
what
the
was.
reason is the percentages changes every year. So I know the grapes that are in it. I just didn't want to misspeak and somebody be able to pause, rewind, and then check my math.
All right, fair enough.
Good.
Yeah, just don't look at the back of the label.
The back of the label is very, very simple. It tells a story about Lechuza as well as what grapes are in it, but I never put tasting notes. The reason
I noticed though, to go on the tasting notes, this one has hints and notes.
Sorry, I beat
Hints
you
and
to
notes
it.
of yumminess. Or as they say in Espanol,
Yummy.
jamminess. Cheers. I love this thing.
Salud.
It's so damn good. So, I mean, I've heard from different people, oh God, I love that wine. It is so freaking good. Even at 11:29 in the morning.
Well,
I mean, but they don't know. They don't know what time it is.
No.
I love it.
Because here at Lechuza, we work 24/7.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
That's a good
just
point.
like
and
Baja Ride Insurance.
there you go. Just like Ride Baja, if you get the name right, that would be Jeez. Anyway, so going back,
Okay. No.
I think the wine's kicking
We're
in.
gonna have to cut that.
We're gonna cut that.
Eric and Janet are gonna kill me.
Yeah. No, they love you. They love you.
I know. I love it.
So, as far as community goes in Valle, now that there's, I mean, how do you know roughly how many registered wineries there are in Valle de Guadalupe?
Is this one of those statistics that you're going to check? Or can
No,
I
no.
just throw it out
Just
there?
a guesstimate.
I want to say
Más o menos.
just over 200.
Over 200 registered, or like known, or
Yeah, sure.
yeah. Have you seen? And a lot of that growth has come since COVID, wouldn't you say?
I mean, a lot of producers have been small producers. You know, La Escuelita was a huge resource with Hugo de Acosta.
That was the school, the wine school.
The wine school
in
that provided
yeah.
short-term hands-on training for people to jump in and to make their first wines. And so there was a lot of people that came out of Escuelita that were doing very small batch. Even for us, our formative years were just, when I moved down, we only had 12 barrels. And so that's 12, 25, 600 cases.
Per season or per year.
Or
just in general. That was your capacity.
That was covering 2 vintages. So we were about 300 cases per year when I came down to turn it into a business. Now we're probably about 2,500 cases. Mm-hmm. We did get up to about 4,200 cases. But there's a lot of growth. So there's a lot of people that have been around, that have been able to grow, that are now registered, right? Because we also, since there is a bigger focus on the region, it is more important for us to have all of the licensings and permits that are necessary. So you don't have as many, garage winemakers, if you will. So yeah, there's a lot more registered as well. Yeah, I would say before COVID is when we saw a huge boom of interest of people coming in and wanting to do the Mexican dream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, speaking of growth and changes in the industry, or specifically the consumer.
Okay.
It seems like the consumer base has changed, where a lot of that consumer from, say, the mid-20s to the mid-30s isn't completely into holding the glass of wine and the swirl and the smell, and that's affected a lot of wine sales. But you've actually come up with a couple really cool ideas to make it more relevant to that consumer.
Yeah, so when I first moved down here, the average consumption per Mexican national was 0.5 liter per person per year. That's not even a bottle.
That's, yeah, right?
I mean, we're
almost on that right now.
Exactly. Right? So I'm fixing that curve. But I think if wine is unapproachable, we're not doing our job. I think there are so many other people out there that are going to make it very esoteric and very, for them. But something that we've always wanted to say is wine's not just for them. It should be for us too. And being for us too means that there should be a certain level of experiment, packaging, fermentation techniques. Wine should not just fit in this small little box. And if I have the opportunity to explore that, then I want to. And so as we've seen the price of glass double in the last year, as we see the price of corks, I mean, we're looking at almost 62 cents
for one
per
cork
bottle.
Wow.
For one cork. And then freight, importation, all of that, it's very expensive. So how can we make it, if you work and live in Valle, how can you afford wine? How can wine be a part of your daily consumption? Can we say weekly consumption? Daily
Sure.
consumption. And so we have explored different techniques. So we do offer latas or cans that are just shy of 2 glasses. We also do a carbonated wine in a beer bottle, which is just more than 2 glasses. We also
What I like, not sorry to jump in on,
Yeah.
on that. I mean, the cans are really cool.
Yeah.
The beer bottles I love because you can drink 2 little beer bottles and you've actually drank a whole bottle of wine, but you don't feel that bad about it.
I mean, the alcohol is still there.
When you told me there was like the little beer bottle was a half a bottle, I'm like, I'll drink 2.
Yeah, I was like,
Good.
oh, well, I mean, it's up to you.
Uh-huh.
And then we also have our box wine now, which is 3 liters or 4 bottles in this small little box. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to look at packaging and whatnot, and how can we offer it in different formats, different sizes, so wine continues to be a part of our consumption. Wine is a portal, right? After having a glass or 2, then now our conversations become more deep. Now we're breaking through that superficial conversation of how's the weather, work is great, kids are doing fine.
And I'm easier to handle after a half bottle of wine, too.
Really?
Okay, maybe after a full bottle. Jeez, lady.
Sorry.
You are getting funnier as the wine goes down. That's
Thank you.
That's really awesome.
Can we?
I've been holding back on a few things.
I know,
like,
I'm just waiting.
You're just taking it. So I do want to tell a funny
Here
story.
we go.
Tell a funny story about one of my best friends, if not my best friend. We did a comedy show. We did a comedy show at your winery where I had a couple comedians come down from the United States. I was told by other people I was actually the funniest one, and I wasn't even a comedian. But the only thing I really got up and talked about, I believe I brought you up to say thanks for everything. And at the time, you had braces,
Yeah.
right? And do you remember the conversation?
Yeah, I do.
What did I say? What did I refer to you as? Do you remember?
You referred to me as the most beautiful winemaker in all of Valle, and you were so honored to be in my home.
That's exactly what I referred to you as. It had nothing to do with a 27-year-old
Stripper from Hong Kong. Yeah. Self-improvement really gets...
I love you.
Are we going to cheer?
Yeah, we're going to cheers on
Okay,
that. Even though you don't want
alright.
to cheers on that.
Well, being your friend is something else. I mean,
It's an adventure.
you publicly roast me every opportunity that you get, but you privately support me. And
I do.
And
I do.
really...
And it's kind of like that, like when you're on the playground and like I go run up and I kick you in the shin and I run away. And it's because I like you.
Wow. That's how it works.
Right? Right. Okay, I'm going to have another sip of this.
All right.
I think honestly, I mean, on a real note, I think it's pretty amazing what you've done, how you've taken over unexpectedly this business and turned it into something from all visibility from the outside, an amazing, amazing business, an amazing presence, an amazing incompetence. I don't know the word. Like you support and you vibe Valle de Guadalupe from start to finish. Your wines are amazing, and not just because you're my friend, but you've done some amazing things. And so, even though I know from the backside of it, our friendship and the things we share and difficulties that you have, I've never seen you in public without a smile. I've never heard you say, vocally negative things about other people. And also, you speak almost perfect Spanish, right?
Mm-hmm.
So tell me your favorite thing about me in Spanish.
Tú eres un chaparrito.
Okay, we'll put the translation down in the
no,
screen.
en verdad, tú tienes un corazón súper, súper grandísimo y tú eres una persona transparente, muy amable, pero yo tengo la confidencia en los momentos súper, súper difíciles, súper complicados, los momentos en mi vida yo necesito la ayuda más en el mundo es contigo. Oh, muchísimas gracias, gracias por tu ayuda, gracias por tu soporte todos los días.
I couldn't have said it better. Literally, I couldn't have said that in Spanish. I understood it, but I don't think I could say it in Spanish. But I love you too, and I feel so blessed. I'm not the most religious person in the world, but I like to say blessed and fortunate to know people like you, and I hope to see how you grow and do more and more. And so the question, my final.
You're not breaking up with me right now.
You know,
Is that what's happening?
I think we should see other people. Just for the record, we're not dating. But,
No.
you know, geez, we don't want that coming back on a text message from somebody.
Oh, that'd be fun. Not doing it.
No, honestly, I mean, if you weren't white, I probably would, like you in a different fashion. But where do you...
I can actually say the same about you.
We can cheers on that one. I think we can cheers on that one. So, where do you see? Because currently, I mean, it's really cool. You can buy your wines in the United States.
Yeah.
You're on Thomas Keller lists, right? And in Napa, and I think weren't you one of the first ones on to have every one of your wines on a Michelin star? Was it a Thomas Keller restaurant or something like that up in Napa, or did I just make that up in my head?
And they actually invited me to go up and make the first section for Mexico. After Thomas Keller had my wine on vacation in Los Cabos. And he wrote back and he said, hey, I think we need to take a closer look at Mexican wine. I just had Lechuza Nebbiolo. I love it. Can you see if they're interested as well? See if maybe they can help us make the Mexican list for the first time. So I flew up in 2015 and did that.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
A white girl going up to do the Mexican list in Napa.
I know.
Right? That's
Wow.
so crazy.
I know. I'm really blessed. And I was with Tom Bracamontes that has La Competencia, a distribution company in the United States. And as we're walking through the threshold, he puts his hand on my shoulder and he says, hey, Chris, I want you just to take the pause. I want you to understand you're going to be the first Mexican wine poured here at the French Laundry. And not only that, but your neighbors have the confidence in you to present their wines here. I mean, that's a really big deal. Every wine that we presented that day was picked up. They have continued to grow the wine list, which is amazing. I think that with every year, Valle de Guadalupe wines are getting better and better and better. But it was a moment. It was a moment that I think gave us some global recognition, and I'm proud to have been able to participate for sure.
I mean, that's truly just an amazing thing to do.
We also have wine by the glass at Pujol. I don't know if we still do. I know that last season we did. And for me, that was a huge accomplishment to be accepted by such an elite restaurant in Mexico to accept my wine. As well, my Nebbiolo just got a really great award this year. And it took me maybe 12 years before I started submitting my wines to competitions. Maybe my insecurity. I think once a review is written, it's not that I can dispute it, right? So we submitted it, and the Cava blind tasting just gave us one of the top 99 wines in Mexico.
Wow.
And I believe we placed in the top 9. And so that's really exciting. It's exciting that I know what is perceived of me when I walk into a room. I understand that I stand out, but I really love the understanding that my work speaks for itself. And in a blind setting, people are able to accept my product as something that can be up there with the heavy hitters, with people who have so much more experience and education formally than me. It feels nice to be a part of that fraternity.
I've said it already. You've built something amazing, and cheers to your pops, and cheers to you. And I can't say enough. I'm so lucky to know you, and I can't wait to see what's to come. I'm tearing up a little right now, but it's so cool to have you here. And even though I see you all the time, and you know, this is really special. So I thank you so much for being here, and I love you as a sister, as a friend, as a half brother, as a whatever, as an annoyance. I'm so lucky.
The sister you never wanted.
Sister from another mister. And my brother's kind of a sister, but that's a different story for another time. Sorry, bro.
So I kind of feel that we've kind of glossed over your opportunity to really roast me. Do you feel you need to? This could even just be for the bloopers reel. But I feel that you've been very conservative on your interview today. I have been conservative.
I have, because I'm respecting your professionalism.
I know, we had this talk yesterday.
Yeah, I know this, like...
But I will give you, like, the floor for, like, a minute. Maybe?
I can't do it.
Okay.
I can't do it.
The cameras are off.
I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna save it when we start doing the Baja Uncovered live.
Oh, no.
So we're going to come to Lechuza one day.
Okay.
We're going to do a live down there. Maybe we can get Javi to come in, or Drew, or whoever, and we'll set up a full-on roast of the Gringa in Valle.
No. No, absolutely not. That sounds like a horrible idea. If you want to roast you, then I can jump on board, and then I will just be a short segment of that. I refuse.
Okay. Well, guys, tune in for the live roast of Kristin that's going to be taking place at some point on Baja Uncovered. Again, thank you, Hermana, for being here.
I love you so much.
I love you so much. And thank you, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to Baja Uncovered. Share it with your friends, your enemies. Like us, post, reshare, everything. And we will catch you on the next episode. We'll catch you guys soon. Hasta.
Hasta. Hasta.
Hasta. We're going down south, amigos. Welcome to the adventure. Yeah, yeah.